I mean, just crazy, man.
So
Yeah, man.
you got a backup to it? Is it backed up?
No, if it was backed up, I could have had it. As a matter of fact, come to think about it,
Mm,
I been I should have dared go hit live on here, but I'm on now though.
yeah, I see. I see. That's it. We know what's going on too is Mercury retrograde. Are you familiar with that phenomenon?
Now tell me about that phenomenon, brother.
Well, it happens several times a year. Is when the planet Mercury controls communication, and it's where Mercury appears to go backwards around the sun, and so it affects communication. It affects technology. Like maybe you might get a text message a day later, or you might have a computer crash, or get a virus, or like for example, you get people from your past, like a girlfriend or somebody come out of nowhere, message you on Facebook or something like that. There's all interesting things going on. Like it says, like during this time period, it lasts for several weeks. I think this current Mercury retrograde that started in late June is going to end by July 12th, I believe. So let's check out the phenomenon of Mercury retrograde. That's one of them things when you go to church, they say you don't talk about this stuff because uh it's not of God, and they don't want you to study astrology or numerology or the zodiac or anything. But that stuff, the universe is ran on numbers and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Numbers run the universe. So it's good to study this type of stuff, have a better understanding of what's going on. You might have a delay, like normally you be on time for a place and you might come late. So they suggest that you leave early to get there on time. So that's Mercury retrograde. It's an interesting phenomenon. And the reason why I know about this because dating interesting type of women. Now you date women that's into this type of stuff and you pick up this stuff over the years. So I think there's some truth to everything.
Well, look, let me go back to something that you were just talking about, Malcolm,
Mm-hmm.
and you were talking about the revolutionary mind and the thing you were saying that um a permit to protest is not a march, that's a parade, right?
Yeah, you don't ask for permission to protest. Protest is a buck against the system. The system to me is not a broken system; it's a break you system. This system is meant to break people's spirits and to undermine you as a human being. As a black person, we've never been treated whole in the system. We always been treated three fifths. We always serve somebody else's agenda or doormat. And we gotta get out of that mindset of saying we need allies. We don't have no allies. If you're not a friend to yourself, you have no allies.
Well, you know something, you're right about that, and that's what I was saying. Like me and Dr. Short, like I said, it was me and Dr. Short. Yeah, I know you probably like the one I had with Judge, but yeah, Dr. Short redid that thing, and then as soon as I posted it, it was gone. So what I'm letting you know is it's also a war on people putting out information. They are
Yeah,
really trying to
definitely.
slow this thing down. The attack on free speech is coming. It's coming. It's already here.
Well,
It ain't.
yeah, it's been here. It's been here
So
because like you gotta think about we on that plantation, man. We own their plantation. This is the plantation matrix. We own their plantation. So that means we own borrowed time and borrowed resources. Always back up what you do, man. Don't have the one and only. It's like look at David Walker, man. Who wrote the Appeal to the Colored Citizens of the World. David Walker didn't have social media or technology back in the 1820s and 1830s. He had a network of people like black and white sailors bringing his pamphlets down south, passing them among the people. See, this led to the actual Nat Turner Revolution of 1831 down in your sweet Virginia. Because they were passing information around. Via his network was the sailors bringing it from Boston down to Wilmington, North Carolina, and Virginia and places like that. Even go back, Revolutionary War. You had Thomas Paine, The Rights of Man, Common Sense. I mean, imagine if he had a network like we got today, and he was passing around no pamphlets around the 13 colonies, which led to the War for Independence. People got to understand words create worlds. Words create worlds. That's why a lot of these rappers don't understand the value they have to be the mouthpieces for the people. And if you do understand that, they'll neutralize you like they did with Tupac. Or you go back some years earlier to Jimi Hendrix. A lot of people don't know that Jimi Hendrix was a major supporter, financial wise, of the Black Panther Party for self defense. He gave a lot of money to the Black Panther Party, but somehow he died. He didn't die no drug overdose. That's a BS. Matter of fact, his manager, the one who handled his estate, was British intelligence, and he
wow.
died supposedly in a plane crash. They never recovered his body, but they say he died in a plane crash back in the 70s. I believe the guy's name was Mike Jeffrey, but he was British intelligence. This is Jimi Hendrix' manager, And you gotta understand a thing called the Tavistock Institute. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, I heard of that.
This the people that are into MK Ultra. These are the folks that actually created MK Ultra mind control. These are folks that gave us the Beatles. You know what I'm saying? The Beatles came over when? What year did the Beatles come over? I call them the Beatles. What year did they come over?
I can't remember. I think it was in the
It was
1900s.
1964. What happened in 1963?
The march on Washington.
Okay, what happened that later that fall before Thanksgiving?
Did Kennedy get killed?
Yeah,
Yes,
JFK got killed.
that's
Then
right.
you got the Warner Commission coming out next year. But to distract the public, you bring over the Beatles, you know, and their job was to get the youth of America, particularly white youth, hooked on drugs. There's songs like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. That's
Yeah,
LSD. Lucy Sky, LSD, right?
yeah.
Hey Jude is about heroin. And the reason why I know a lot of this is because Dick Gregory was a guru for John Lennon and Yoko Ono. Dick Gregory helped get John Lennon and Yoko Ono off drugs. He had to go over to Europe, and they lived in a cave castle. And there's articles about this in, I think, Jet magazine. They got a cover of Dick Gregory on the cover with John Lennon and Yoko Ono. He helped them detox off of drugs. And what he did for John Lennon, also, he gave him a prayer book that led to John Lennon writing the hit song Imagine right before he died. One of the best-selling songs of all time. He credited Dick Gregory being the inspiration behind that. But he told Dick that the Beatles were formed to try to influence the minds of the youth to get on drugs. And then he was trying to rebel against that towards the end. That killed John Lennon. Because what's strange? The guy who allegedly killed John Lennon, Mark David Chapman, could have got away with it. He killed him at the Dakota up in New York. He sat and wait for the police to come. And the lead detective on the case said this guy could have committed the perfect crime, but he waited for us to come to get him like he was under some type of mind control. And the doorman at the Dakota was a well-known Cuban assassin that worked for the CIA. You can look all this up.
Well,
So the
look.
games, man.
Well, look. Like I said, I mean, they got you. They got, like I told you earlier. Before I realized we were on live, so I'm gonna have to kind of like get some of this information back in because I got to make sure we get it though.
Yeah, make sure you back it up too, man. Make sure you save this, back it up on clouds and stuff, man. This is too important. The work that you're doing is very important.
33,000 people, like I said, in Florida are, is what we would call, how can we call it? Could be misdiagnosed, which probably mean they were misdiagnosed because I'm gonna say this. This pandemic is being used as a political football game too. You can just tell by the way they're setting it up.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Arizona. Where did President Trump go last week? He went to Arizona, right? Now he's in Florida. Now they're high. Right. Tulsa, Oklahoma, high cases. You ever heard about none of these places? Now you talk about COVID-19 is high in these places. Give me a break. Come on, man. Give me a break.
What can you do about it? We black people, we understand Tuskegee experiment. They thought we was getting cured for syphilis. They gave us syphilis and let us pass it on to our children and our wives and girlfriends and whatnot for generations. You think about J. Marion Sims, who's from South Carolina, the so-called father of gynecology. What he was doing to black women? Destroying their wombs with all types of instruments, not getting them any anesthesia. So we as black folks are used to being lab rats and guinea pigs. America is nothing but a big experiment, man. We lab rats and guinea pigs and lemmings, okay? Well, you gotta understand that they don't give a damn about us, okay?
Yeah, I was saying this earlier. When you look at it and you go back to the black reality, right? And you want to talk about liberation. You can't talk about liberation like even with this like I told you earlier. Let's say, like I told you today in Richmond, they were taking down Stonewall Jackson statue, right?
Right.
And they talking about we're gonna take down all these Confederate monuments, etc., right?
Yeah.
Well, how do we get from police reform to taking down statues to this? You're taking down a statue, like I said, I mean, it is what it is, but you don't do that. I don't care about a statue. Reparations, land, etc. A statue is a symbolic, just like the NBA gonna say they're gonna put Black Lives Matter on the court. Who cares? I mean, the symbolism is real, but there's no substance to the symbolism. I don't care. You can look, brother. If I don't live in a neighborhood with a statue. Statue not bothering me. You can put it in a museum, put it anywhere you want to put it. As a matter of fact, come to think about it, if you look at it, they were already planning to take some of these statues down anyway, because over the last 2 years they've been taking slavery out of history book in school. I was talking to a friend earlier today, and me and him both said, if you take down the statue, you also gonna erase the history, so you will have a new generation of people that never would know about slavery or
Right.
anything. They're gonna erase this out there, and then they're gonna. That's why, like when they go to Starbucks and they get in, when they say we've been treated bad and you won't let us sit in your restaurant, the question is, why are you worried about going to their restaurant anyway? You need to just
Mhm.
get your own restaurant. Don't why are we crying to white folks to give us anything? We shouldn't cry for it. Only thing you need to pay is those reparations which you owe. But otherwise, no, ain't no need to go to your restaurant. Ain't no need to go there. That's a that's a choice. You're the one that made a choice to go there. I was talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma. Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma, of course, right?
Oh yeah, in Black Wall Street. Yeah, of course. Gap
Okay,
Band. Who dropped the bomb? You dropped the bomb on me, baby. Gatewood, Archer, and Pine. It's Gap Band. They from Tulsa. They from Black Wall Street. That's what
okay.
their song was about.
Well, if you look at it in the way they talking about it like this, that was a good. They acknowledged that in their song. But
Hmm.
they had a movie. Now they're showing all these movies about Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma. You never talk about all this in your life. Now you talk about it, but the message is really watered down. They don't really show you the horror of what happened. Even with some of these movies, they water it down. They might show it to you like the Harriet Tubman movie. That movie was a disaster, man. Come on, man.
That
What?
was ops. Yeah, it was.
I
But
mean,
a movie I think about what you just said. Rosewood really showed that.
but yeah,
Rosewood, the late great John Singleton, he really showed that in Rosewood. That's the trauma. He didn't show everything as a movie, it's dramatization, it's fictionalization, but he showed what it was like a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It was a hard thing to look at that Rose. You seen Rosewood before, right?
yeah,
The Rosewood Massacre 1923, 2 years after Tulsa.
yeah. But
Okay.
listen, you're in Memphis, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted, Memphis had some race riots too. I was talking to my
I don't call them
friend,
riots, I call them massacres, the genocide.
massacre.
Riots like, oh, our team won. Yeah, we're gonna knock over some cars and burn some buildings with insurance, and nobody get killed because we're celebrating. These were massacres, genocide.
Well,
State
okay.
sponsored supported genocide.
Well, I want you to tell the audience a little bit about Memphis, Tennessee,
Well,
down
Memphis
there.
is we talked about taking down statues. We had one of the greatest Confederates of all time, Nathan Bedford Forrest, the general, Confederate general, prominent slave trader, war criminal, the guy who helped initiate the Fort Pillow massacre of April 12th, 1864, at Fort Pillow, Tennessee, where they massacred 300 black Union soldiers, women, and children. This has been documented, primary sources on both sides. Talked about babies getting speared and all this other stuff, gutted and all this stuff, women too. So we had this statue taken down about 3 years ago, this upcoming December. And the thing about it is that Nathan Bedford is also the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. As a matter of fact, the founder of the Klan, Albert Pike, who was a Confederate general and a lawyer for Native Americans, who was from Boston, he lived in Memphis back in the 1860s. If you come down on Union Avenue, you got Sun Studios where they had Elvis and all that recording for the first time. Just go a couple blocks down, you see what's known as Health Sciences Park, which used to be known as Forest Park. They moved him and his wife remains back in 1904 to that location where it currently resides. They put the horse or the equestrian statue on top of their bodies back in 1905. And his birthday is July 12th. They still got a bust of Nathan Bedford Forrest in the state capitol, which they are protecting with taxpayer dollars. They got police details, from my understanding, protecting this bust in the state capital, Tennessee. But you must realize that the state of Tennessee honors this Confederate general and Klansman every year by acknowledging his birthday as a favorite son of Tennessee. And I know for 100 plus years, the sons and daughters of the Confederacy, see, a lot of those statues, memorials of Confederates were raised by the daughters of the Confederacy. And they were put up decades later after the Civil War ended, the so-called lost cause. So every year for like 100 some years, they would meet the Sunday before Nathan Bedford Forrest's birthday to convene at that statue and pay their respects to his remains in that statue. Sometimes you get hundreds, even thousands of white people down there. For 3 straight years, I covered that meeting. It's strange in a city that's a chocolate city like Memphis. Hardly no black folks is downtown on that Sunday, while all these white folks from out of town down there. And you got people that these not that's like no peckerwoods or rednecks. These are professional business people, lawyers, doctors, even law enforcement people. Matter of fact, the spokesperson for the Sons of Confederacy in Memphis, he works for the sheriff department. His name is Lee Millar. I'm on friendly terms with Lee Millar. I interviewed him a couple of times. But my thing is right across the street from where they buried Nathan Bedford Forrest, and the statue is the Scottish Rite Masonic building. And I told you the founder of the Klan was Albert Pike, was Scottish Rite third degree Freemason. They just took down this statue down in DC, which was right across from the courthouse with a statue of Lincoln in front. You know what I'm saying? So this stuff is deep with these numbers and stuff like that. So a lot of people don't know that even though they took down that statue of Nathan Bedford Forrest in Tennessee, in Memphis, they still got a 2,500-acre state park named in his honor in our state of Tennessee. Right across the river from Memphis, if you go across the bridge, there's a city known as Forest City, Arkansas, that he founded himself. That is the birthplace of the one and only Right Reverend Al Green, the music icon, but also that's the place where the rapper T.I. spent his federal time at. They got a federal penitentiary over in Forest City, Arkansas. Not only that, I will always call Nathan Bedford Forrest the first Grand Wizard of the Klan, also the father of private prisons, because after the war, he had black slave labor, prison labor on this island known as President Island, which exists today. President Island is in the Mississippi River between Arkansas and Memphis, Tennessee. So Memphis is is a very interesting town, very Masonic town. A lot of numbers and stuff like DC, all that Masonic stuff. And we had the Memphis Race Massacre, which happened May 1st through the 3rd, 1866. See, all the major riots and massacres involve police misconduct in this country. Every single race massacre and riot had as its genesis some issue with police brutality or police misconduct. So you had a lot of black soldiers stationed in Memphis in the 1860s after the war at Fort Pickering. The U.S. 3rd Artillery, U.S. Colored Troops were stationed here. He had a lot of proud black men with guns who had a lot of confidence and a pep in their step, and they was not afraid to look a cracker in their eye and tell them what time it was. You know what I'm saying? So they had a lot of conflict with the police, who were mostly Irish immigrants after the potato famine of the 1840s. A lot of Irish came over here to the country. They were considered the black people or white people. The Irish and Italians, especially the Irish at this time, they were not considered white people at that time. But what the Irish did when they came to America, they took control of what? The police departments in the country. So by them taking control of the police departments, they helped create some political foundation for themselves in order to come up to where they actually were considered white from a political point of view. So you had a lot of Irish white cops clashing with the black Union troops. And the incidents, a couple incidents in the city happened that led to the Memphis Race Massacre, because the black troops were discharged by April 30th. They were still in the city waiting for their payment from being soldiers, but a lot of their guns were taken from them. It's something about black folks with guns that this country feared for whatever reason. Something about Negroes with guns, right? So a lot of them had private weapons all the same. So it was an altercation between some soldiers and some police officers. The soldiers got the best. I mean, these are black soldiers, vets, whatever. Got the best of the white cops. The white cops ran home with their tail between their legs to tell their other people, and they created a lynch mob. And so the colored troops were told to go back to Fort Pickering, and they was forced to give up their weapons. So the guy who was over them at the time, I think his name was General Stoneman, he did not allow these men to go back into the city to defend the black community. So the white folks, what they did, along with the white police, they burned down all of black Memphis. They destroyed all the schools and churches. They raped and pillaged and murdered. Now, the official tally of deaths of black people were about 46 black folks and 2 white people. But the thing about it is, a lot of black folks were burned down in their homes. They were not allowed to leave their homes. So a lot of black folks burned down, so that were out of remains. So we don't know how many black folks were actually killed. Then they said only 5 black women were raped, but we don't know how many black women were raped. Matter of fact, one of the most important people that Memphis ever produced, this guy named Robert Church Sr., he was almost assassinated in his saloon on Bill Street. Robert Church Sr. was the first black millionaire of the South. Now he's from Holly Springs, Mississippi, like Ida B. Wells Barnett was from. His daddy was white, his mama was black, but he considered himself a proud race man. And he brought up a lot of real estate in the city after the Civil War. And he's the guy that responsible for saving Memphis when it lost its city charter during the yellow fever pandemic of the 1870s and 80s. He brought the city back by buying the first city bond for $1,000. He had a lot of real estate in the city, and he actually, it's hard out here for a pimp. Control a lot of brothels with white prostitutes and stuff. So he got his money that way. He was a pimp, but also he was a benefactor for the black community. He gave black folks loans to own homes and start businesses. He started a black bank called the Solvent Savings Bank before he died. He built one of the first black-owned auditoriums in the country, Church Auditorium, which is now Church Park because they tore down the politics of the white people, tore it down in the 20th century. But this was a place where people like Booker T. Washington and President Theodore Roosevelt could go to address the black people of the city. And there's a place where black folks could rent out. It was a immaculate theater, right? And another thing about Robert Church, he testified before the Congress what happened to him during the Memphis Race Massacre. That incident, the Memphis Race Massacre of 1866, was one of the reasons why the radical Republicans in Congress pushed for what is now known in history as the Reconstruction era. That one thing that happened in Memphis over 3 days caused that. And also, you mentioned Black Wall Street. Robert Church Sr. was one of the first people to invest in real estate, which became known as Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. He was one of the most important investors early on because what happened, a lot of black folks left Memphis and moved out west of Oklahoma. It was an incident. You talk about supporting black businesses. I don't know if you ever heard the People's Grocery lynchings of 1892.
I've heard about that, but I never really got into it. But go
Well,
ahead.
Memphis was one of the largest grocery markets in the country. It was in the top 5 back in that time. This is back in the 1890s. And it was these black men. They were very ambitious. This guy named Thomas Moss. He was known as a postal carrier in the black community in Memphis. To be a letter carrier back then was a high position in the black community. You was revered. And he was a black leader. He was a young, handsome guy with a young family. And he was real close to Ida B. Wells Barnett, who was a school teacher and newspaper editor in Memphis in her early life, in her 20s, right? So they were real close. She was the goddaughter to his daughter. And what happened was he had a People's Grocery Market, which is located now in South Memphis. It was in competition with a white grocer across the street. But the People's Grocery Market was very popular, not only among black people, but also white and other people. People preferred that market over the white people market across the street. So he was making all types of money, him and his business partners, his 2 other brothers. And so the white man got jealous. He ended up creating a posse with some policemen from the sheriff department inside the white posse. The black man had arms. They took up arms to guard their property. So they called their brothers in arms to guard the property. Got to a shootout with the white posse, the white mob. They shot into the crowd to defend their property, right? And ended up injuring some of these so-called police officers. They did not know there were police officers in the mob. So they turned themselves in peacefully. And the jail was allowed to be raided and got these 3 black men out of this jail and took them to their lynching place up in what is now known as North Memphis. So these black men were horribly lynched. A lot of people don't know that majority of black people lynched in America were business owners.
Okay.
So everything is warfare. Business is warfare. So these 3 black men was lynched and horribly, man. They was before they was shot, they were disfigured, eyes gouged out, fingers broken off, all types of stuff. So Thomas Moss, he pleaded for his life. This was Ida B. Wells' best friend. He said, I got a baby on the way. He had a son on the way. He got a young family, got a daughter, got a beautiful wife. They said, you know what's strange? What people don't understand how sick this stuff is. You had actual so-called legitimate white newspapers covering the whole extrajudicial killing. So you had white newspapers there covering. Because people gotta understand, when they did these type of killings that was against the law, they would put ads in newspapers for special trains and stuff. Say, hey, come on and bring your family and friends to the lynching of so-and-so. They have special trains running, have special advertisements in the newspapers. So you had these white newspaper men covering this violation that's a human decency. So Thomas Moss could not, get his life spared. They said he had any last words. He said, yeah, I got last words. Tell my people to go west because they cannot get no justice here. And so they blew his face off and all this other stuff. So Ivy Wells was so distraught when she heard the news, and she put it in a newspaper. Thomas said, "Go west. I want black folks to leave Memphis and go west." Memphis was very progressive at one point for black people, but over 6,000 black folks went west because of what Thomas Moss said and what Ivy Wells printed in her paper. And a lot of them black folks ended up in Oklahoma territory, in Indian territory. So Robert Church invested some real estate over there for those black folks to start what is now known as Black Wall Street. This is the first black millionaire of the South.
Well, look. You were telling me a couple weeks ago that Memphis got still, you got a majority black population, but the
Yeah.
whites are running the city, right?
For the most part, the big money. Memphis is the home of FedEx, right? Corporate headquarters of FedEx. It's AutoZone was started in Memphis. Holiday Inn was started. Modern American was birthed in Memphis. Piggly Wiggly was the first supermarket in the country, and that was started in Memphis back in 1916. So Memphis, and also Tennessee Williams premiered his first play in Memphis back in 1931. Richard Wright, the great novelist, grew up in North Memphis for a couple of years. So you got a lot of people that come through Memphis. And I mean, the father of modern barbecue is from Memphis, a guy named Henry Perry. Went to Kansas City, taught the guys who ended up running Gates and the Arthur Bryant's up in Kansas City. Even Charlie Parker dad is from Kansas City. Louis Armstrong's second wife made him a superstar is from Memphis. So Memphis is the first black radio station in the whole country. Started in Memphis, first black radio format. WDIA started here back in 1948. So Memphis is a birthplace for a lot of innovation. It's like Mississippi Delta, special part of the country. So yeah, what happened with that? I talked about Robert Church Sr. See, Robert Church Sr., they believe in investing in black people. They gave black folks money to start businesses and own homes. See, another thing came from Holly Springs. A creature named Boss Crump. This guy named E.H. Crump, Edward Hull Crump, was a white cracker from Holly Springs, Mississippi. He came from the same place as Robert Church Sr. and Ivy Wells. He was a Democrat, and he became one of the most powerful political bosses in this country history. He was a power maker. He ran Tennessee politics for decades. So what he did was he eventually ran the Church family out of Memphis. And he did a thing. They had a fire convention in Memphis back in the early 1950s. The Church family had a phenomenal home on Parkway in South Memphis. It was an immaculate home. It's 3 stories, many rooms, all types of stuff. I mean, black folks living good. And what he did was he let the firemen set the house on fire to demonstrate new equipment. But what he was doing was he was getting rid of any memory of Robert Church's family legacy in Memphis. So he burned down those homes, his house, and put up projects. They ran the Church family out of Memphis because a lot of them were, his son, Robert Church Jr., was a Republican. He was a very powerful Republican, not just a black Republican, but a very influential Republican on a national and state level. So he befriended Crump, and Crump used him and got him out of town. So that's the legacy. They knocked down all these black-owned homes and put up projects in Memphis. And Memphis is interesting because we were allowed to vote as long as we voted Democrat. So we never had to struggle for the franchise like in Alabama or Mississippi or whatever. We always had the right to vote here in Memphis as long as we vote for Boss Crump Machine, who was a Democrat.
Well, let's link that to today. Now,
Okay.
today you got freedom of
And
choice.
Nick Forrest was a Democrat too. The first Grand Wizard of the Clan, he was a Democrat too. Go ahead.
Well, if you look at it and you tie the word together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Democrat means demon craft or demonic worship.
There you go.
But a lot of people don't know that. So, as I told you today, Virginia, the taxes went up, and we've got, LGBT stuff, Confederate statues, gambling, casinos, and stuff. And one thing about it, they get you on benefits and programs, but they also do it for their own nefarious reasons. As I was telling you last week, I was looking in. I'm here. They bought a Planned Parenthood clinic over in where is it? North 25th Street over here in Churchill, Virginia. So when you look at having a Planned Parenthood clinic that's right next to the library, oh my goodness, I can go get an abortion as soon as I, get a go read some books. Right. I mean, it's in a police station right across the street and the ABC store across the street. You have people sitting out there on a bench. You got a
Hmm.
farmers market over there, and this is also in a gentrified neighborhood. Now,
Hmm.
a friend of mine made a question today. So you can have a choice of abortion, but they want to make wearing masks mandatory for the public. Isn't that something, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, when you look at this mask wearing, right? And I know you're out there in Memphis.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things that went into this event 201, October 18, 2019, that Bill Gates and these Bilderbergs and these people set up. You know, they have a meeting every year, the Bilderberg
Yeah.
Group, Rockefeller Trilateral Commission.
Hmm.
They had this meeting on this live pandemic exercise where they were talking about how they would do it. This thing is only just getting started. I mean, you look at Bill Gates and his wife Melinda. What did they say last week? That they would like to make sure it'd be unfair that the black community couldn't get the vaccine first. And don't that sound like Tuskegee 2.0 or something like that? In this thing going on, like another experiment, like you said, it's nothing but lab rats anyway, right?
Yeah. Who keeping up with the statistics? Is John Hopkins University keeping up with statistics on the coronavirus?
Yeah, you already know
Man,
about
and what they do to Henrietta Lacks back in the
yeah.
50s? Henrietta Lacks.
Well, look, man, John Hopkins Hospital. You already know
Uh-huh.
about them. They're some dogs. I mean, they're
But
vicious.
majority of our people don't know. It's like a lot of our people didn't know that Juneteenth was a holiday. They ain't had no history. So I mean, people kind of like, okay, I can't take us seriously because we don't do our homework. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't take you serious about you being offended by Trump speaking on Juneteenth. You could have been offended by Trump speaking on Father's Day because of what happened to Swarner Cheney and Goodman on Father's Day, 1964 in Mississippi. But you don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? They hide in plain sight. Everything. See what people got to do. If they see a Planned Parenthood, right? You know what they could do? They could take their smartphone and Google up the history of Planned Parenthood. Who is Margaret Sanger? See,
That's
we
right.
don't take advantage of our phones and how this technology works. You know what I'm saying? So if you got a question about anything, let's pray to Google. Google's your God, and
Well, look.
God would answer you right back with some options.
Well, let's say something else. CDC, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you know the CDC, now check this out. It's in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but the CDC and the World Health Organization and all these little groups you view so trustworthy actually were planning mass extermination on blacks for a long time. Been going on. Always have done
Yeah.
it.
Well,
Especially
go
the
back
World Health
2 years
Organization.
ago. Well, go back 2 years. You know Dr. Timothy Cunningham, right? You heard of him, right?
Yes.
You know, he was a epidemiologist, what do you call it? He was studying viruses down there. And
Yeah.
I'll say he disappeared on February 12th, 2018. And then they found his body first week of April in the Chattahoochee River up in Atlanta. And here's the thing about Dr. Timothy Cunningham. They were claiming that he was trying to warn people that they were trying to give black folks viruses, that they were planning genocide at the CDC. Now, it's interesting. If you look at it, it's kind of hard to find information on him doing any articles on that. But it's funny how they tried to character assassinate Dr. Timothy Cunningham. You know, because his family was concerned. They lived in Maryland. His folks drove down from Maryland to Atlanta to his home. They saw that his dog, I think Mr. Bojangles or Mr. Jingles, whatever his dog was named, was unattended. He left his wallet and a lot of his stuff in his home, which was unusual. And the family said, and the police said that he was up for a major promotion but did not get it. And now hear what the CDC said, which is interesting. They said, yeah, we gave him the major promotion. And not only that, his security clearance was not high enough for us to be interested in killing him. They said something like that to that effect. So that happened 2 years ago. And they say he was trying to warn people. Then they try to talk about his sexuality, that he allegedly had a thing for one of his classmates from Morehouse. But then his sister said that can't be true because he had a thing for two women at the CDC. So I don't really care about that, but it's a lot of see how they do distractions. Then the most
Yeah.
important thing about him is that he allegedly warned us that they were trying to do things against black folks. Like what you just made reference to. But how many of us even remember that story from 2 years ago? So much stuff happened. It could have been 20 years ago. All I care. You know what I'm saying? See how everything moves so fast. But if you don't know how to think about how to put the parts together, you can't make nothing of it. You can't make a picture. You can't even
Well,
understand the bigger picture.
well, listen. I'm gonna go to something else. Now,
Mm-hmm.
even with this Black Lives Matter, Antifa movement, LGBTQPZ, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
You look at who's funding this thing behind the scenes. Soros,
Mm-hmm.
Rothschild, these the same characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Obamas, the Clintons,
Mm-hmm.
the World Health Organization, parts of China. You got a lot of people in here trying to bring like a socialist, Marxist type of climate.
Yeah.
And if you go to February 26, 2020, just before this pandemic kept off, they
Mm-hmm.
had a District of California court case to take all these people to court. You had a lot of people in this thing. I mean, like, you seen it, right?
I
Yeah.
haven't seen it, but I don't doubt it. Cause I remember what happened to Kobe. The 2 days after Kobe got killed, they arrested that Harvard professor, right? The Justice Department
Yes.
leaking trade secrets with Chinese nationals posing as students and as other people. There's so much stuff going on, man. It's just like, they do it all the time. So, we don't
But like
control the
you
major
said,
news.
truth in plain sight, right?
Yeah.
I mean, could you think about it? Like I always tell somebody, when
Mm-hmm.
you hear all the news media, what do they talk about half the time? Trump,
Talking about
right?
entertainment, man. Talking about Beyonce, what she said about, I don't know, about something.
Well,
Nothing important. Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith being swingers. Who cares? We know about that for years. You know?
well, think about this. Speaking of Beyonce, like Beyonce comes out the other day and
Yeah.
says, "Vote like your life depends on it," because it does. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you're not picking the game up yet that Beyonce is a weaponized celebrity. She's in your
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what you call okay. So Beyonce told me to vote. Let me ask you something, bro. How you feel about that? You realize they always get celebrities to tell us to vote, but
I'm
they don't
not
get.
impressed. She didn't give me the vote for Hillary 4 years ago when they did that concert. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed with LeBron James. They don't have that. See, you know, we are being punished for what we produced back in the 60s. You understand what I'm saying? The type of athletes we produced, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, they were very conscious. They were connected to they were not disconnected from the community like a lot of these athletes are, even though their handlers were white men. You look at who taught Muhammad Ali how to box was a white cop in Louisville, the place where they killed Breonna Taylor. Taught him how to box, right? You look at Bill Russell went to college and where he played ball at professionally, Boston. Boston didn't love Bill Russell. You know what I'm saying? They hated. They destroyed his house. LeBron talking about his house being vandalized in Brentwood, whatever. But Bill Russell won 11 championships in 13 years, and Boston still didn't love him back. Okay, and he can't stood behind Muhammad Ali when he went through all the stuff he went through. Unlike Colin Kaepernick when he bowing down and that BS, he might well held Abraham Lincoln patting him on his head, in that statue in D.C. But you had folks that stood for something. You had the Dr. Kings, the Malcolms, you had the Fred Hamptons. And 50 something years later, what do we have now? Black trans matters. I don't know the confusion, man. Even Malcolm knew there was money people behind the farce on Washington. We keep on marching to Washington every 5 years. What do marching gets accomplished unless you in the military? Marching to war. That's the only marching we should be doing is marching to war, not marching to
Well,
get selfies at the Lincoln
on
Memorial.
August 28th, in August 28th, Al Sharpton have his farce on Washington. I didn't say Martin,
Again,
but
yeah.
farce. Now I'm like, don't you get it? Al Sharpton keep on coming back again. We
It's
had,
wasted energy, man.
well, listen, we got a wacko governor down here named Ralph Northam. I told you passing gun flag laws, etc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
When Ralph Northam got caught wearing blackface, right?
Okay.
They brought Al Sharpton to Virginia Union University to talk about this. I'm like, Al Sharpton for this?
Well, he
Really?
wearing blackface too, ain't he? He a Negro pen, he a ground cracker.
Well,
Look black, but think white. He no
oh
better
man.
than Al Jolson, the jazz singer, as far as I'm concerned. Sharpton's is singing for his dinner. If he even eats at all anymore, he probably
And
eats just air.
of course, Cornell West, Tavis Smiley, right?
Yeah, I heard of
Okay.
them.
Okay. Well, they used to criticize Obama back in when he was president, and Al
Yeah,
Sharpton would always take up for Obama, right?
of course.
Now that Obama's gone, well, he ain't really gone because he's working hard behind the scenes in this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He really is working really hard to cover his name for this stuff that he did, these crimes against humanity, because Libya and all these other countries. But they want Al Sharpton to, keep
To pacify the black masses, yeah. Put us
yes.
to sleep, to cool us down. Yeah.
And I'm like, Al Sharpton, you only come around when it's a race killing or a white cop shot a black man, etc. Right?
Yeah.
Al Sharpton, you don't never say nothing about women abortions. You never talk about what's going on in Chicago. You don't
Mm-hmm.
step up their plate at all. As a matter of fact, me and my friend were watching when the George Floyd thing, death happened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now check this out. Why is Al Sharpton in Minnesota talking on the mic down there? Now I was talking to a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago, and
Yeah.
she told me she was disappointed. And I said, "Why are you disappointed?" And she says, "Because I said, were you disappointed over George Floyd's death?" She said, "No, I'm not disappointed over George Floyd's death. I'm disappointed one of my family members died and I couldn't go to a funeral, but now I see Al Sharpton them having a funeral. Isn't
Mm-hmm.
that something?
Yeah.
With people there. So how is I mean, I'm not saying, death is death, but why is this George Floyd, you can go to his funeral, why couldn't I go to my people's funeral? Why did I have to watch this virtually? I couldn't go to the funeral and see my own kin be buried. You get what I'm saying? Contradicting story, right?
Yeah. I mean, but George Floyd is a blood sacrifice. He's a ritual sacrifice for whatever the agenda they pushing. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
that's like people got to understand that, like George Floyd, like what Joe Biden said was George Floyd death was more impactful globally than Dr. King's. That's not true. But the thing about it is, what Dick Gregory used to tell me, Ron, it's not how you live, it's how you die that people remember you.
yeah,
Ain't how Emmett Till lived. We don't know nothing about Emmett Till as a 14-year-old kid from Chicago. We knew how he died though, and that's
yeah,
why he was sparking the change in the movement. So it's not about how you live. George Floyd ain't no Dr. King. He ain't no Mega Evers, but the way and how he died and how it was captured for the masses, he will be remembered.
yeah. But here's another thing, brother. When you look
Mm-hmm.
at this thing and you look at it, I mean, like I said, it don't happen like that, like the massive protests, etc. You saw that? Did you get the article I sent you when they said one in every six of the protesters are black?
Yeah, I
Very,
mean, you can just look on in the. I mean, it's not.
it's not hard to see, right?
No, it's not hard to see. Unless you Stevie Wonder can even see that. I don't know if Stevie Wonder really blind. That's another story. But it just it's not. I don't understand how we not sick and tired of being used by everybody.
Yeah,
And the only thing I can think of that we don't really understand history, because be like, we don't understand history, man. Because if you overstood what we've been through as a people, ain't no way in hell you be that comfortable around white people. Ain't no way in hell you trust white folks with anything, including your life.
well,
You
let's
wouldn't be
talk
able to go to
about
no
that.
baseball games if you knew what white people really were. You know what I'm saying? It'd be hard to beat a baseball stadium white people. You understood who they are.
well well let me say that to you. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I'm saying, like, you know this Seattle thing where the mayor for
Yeah.
today finally dismantled the zone. But I think
Interesting, ain't it?
but yeah, but she don't really, because they came to her house though. But check this out: 4 or 5 black people got killed in that zone before they even did anything, and they couldn't get no police or ambulance in there. I mean, it's crazy, man. Like, what the hell?
Well, black lives never matter unless it's making profits for somebody else that's not black.
Well, here's the thing. Now they don't put with the rainbow flag. They don't put the brown and the black in the rainbow flag and add it to the colors. But what they trying to tell you is now we all in this together. Gay, trans, etc. They are accomplishing their mission by using us as they pimping us to accomplish that mission.
Right. You know what people gotta understand? We always been treated less than second class citizens in these movements. Go back to the suffrage movement. How they treated the black women in that movement, the Ida B. Wellses and the Mary Church Terrells and all them brilliant black women. They was less than second class citizens. They were not allowed to march in the front. So why are people thinking that the gay folks gonna be different? Some of the worst races on the planet are gay white men.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? That who decides that brown and black gonna be a part of the rainbow? Who decided that we can't use the word, the N word? I'm gonna say it for I want you to get your videotape. The N word. Who gonna decide we can't use the N word no more? Who decided that they're gonna start calling people like us, we're not Negros or colored, we black, we Afro American, we African American. Name one black person that was in the room when that was called to be. Do they even ask us anything about how we want to be known, or do we want to be involved in their movements? You know what I'm saying? Who make these calls?
Well, let's say something else. Here's
Mm-hmm.
another thing. Who you think really leading the charge of these statues? This ain't us leading the charge in these
I
statues.
don't really care about the statues.
I know. I'm just saying, that's
Yeah,
them.
I just want to. I don't want to pay for the upkeep. I told the people that organized the Nathan Bedford Forest thing the last time. I said, I don't mind y'all having y'all little trinkets, but we shouldn't be paying taxpayers dollars in a city that your hero terrorized black folks in and terrorized my ancestors. We should not be paying for the upkeep of your symbol of white privilege and so-called superiority. Y'all should pay for that. Y'all should buy the property.
I think they're gonna. Well, I think they're gonna put it in museums, brother. Actually, now they might put this stuff
Well, they
in.
got a big, ugly statue of Nathan Bedford Forrest on I-65 in Nashville. I seen it a couple years ago. It's like you can see. I mean, it's this garish looking thing. And the thing about it is, I'm not concerned about the symbols. I'm more concerned about the system that produces the symbols and upkeep them.
Okay.
We need to learn about the systems at play, not just a system, but the systems at play.
Let me go to let me ask you this though. When you look at it though, and you realize that the constant play, the same characters, when you
Mm-hmm.
start seeing the same actors, like the other day I was looking at what's his name? What's this guy named Jake Tapper, right?
Yeah, CNN, that clown,
Yeah, that clown, right?
court jester, whatever you want to call him. Not a journalist, court jester.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
this weekend Farrakhan gonna have a message to the world. And
Yeah.
Jake Tapper, the first thing he come out and call him anti-LGBT and anti-Semitic. Now I'm sitting there saying, wait a minute, are any black people picking this up? This guy, when he called him anti-LGBT, I said, wait a minute. He revealing you this is the agenda. Jake Tapper really just told you, well, he didn't call him a racist or anything. He just said anti-LGBT, anti-Semitic.
Right.
Well, put the two dots together. The LGBT is controlled by the Zionists.
Mm-hmm.
Or the people that he will be saying Farrakhan will be calling anti-Semitic. Put the dots together. Like you just said, truth in plain sight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I'm sitting there saying, wait a minute. CNN got a lot of black folks working on CNN, don't they?
I guess.
I guess, or news anchors or whatever. But you mean to tell me y'all couldn't say anything? Y'all were that pussy that you couldn't say nothing? What?
I mean, look at Don Lemon. Who
yeah.
I mean, saying compromise positions, man. I don't expect none of them folks to be James Baldwin, who knew what time it was. So. But this is Bayard Rustin's wet dream right now. This is what Bayard Rustin would love. This is Dr. King's nightmare and Bayard Rustin's wet dream.
Well, I was reading an article earlier today where they want LGBT to start having statues, and one of the statues they wanted is Bayard Rustin. Isn't that something?
Okay, yeah, they'll make and he would turn out them white boys in the 60s, man. Them white women was mad at Bayard Rustin. He would turn them white boys out like it was nobody's business.
Let me say something about Bayard Rustin though, because a lot of people don't know about him. He was the architect of the civil rights movement.
Yeah,
But see, he actually tricked Martin Luther King.
Okay.
But he was also J. Edgar Hoover's buddy.
Well, J. Edgar Hoover try to out him to the leaders of the movement, whatever, and Adam Clayton Powell Jr. trying to blackmail Dr. King for his relationship with Bayard Rustin. But also, he was a confidant and a right-hand man to A. Philip Randolph, who planned the March on Washington to happen in 41, but they postponed it to 63.
Well, let's say something else. But so that's right, because you're in Memphis. So let's talk about, since you're in Memphis, we got to talk about this.
I mean, it was 43. I don't know. It was in the 40s. Yeah. Okay.
Well, we got to talk about Memphis because Memphis, where Dr. King was assassinated as well.
Yeah, but it was state sponsored. It was just Memphis. It was government sanctioned assassination, Dr. King.
Of course. And we all know that the man who was accused of killing Dr. King was not the man.
I don't believe he pulled the trigger, but he was a part of the plot, though. He was a patsy, as they call it.
Yeah. But what's the guy named Billy Cowles and a couple other people? Billy Cowles said on tape that he moved out the way of the gunshot.
Yeah, he said that several times on tape. They got several times where he'll say stuff. Billy Cowles claimed that his wife was late with the dinner. She said she was on time. The dinner was ready. It was getting cold. That's his first wife. She wouldn't lie for him. And then he was cross-examined during the civil trial of '99 that found the government complicit of killing King, he fell under cross-examination when they cross-examined him. His story didn't hold up, but yet he's still a hero in the so-called black community
Well,
here in Memphis. Even though he is known now, he was a Memphis police informant.
well, but look at this though. That movement was wrecked by police informants and snitches and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But today you don't even know you got the snitch because the snitch is already infiltrated. He's in the movies. He's in the entertainment world. I like something you always say, brother. We always let our trumpet players and entertainers lead us out front. Nobody else does that.
Mm-mm.
I mean,
Even Ronald Reagan was told what to say. You know what I'm saying? We ain't letting no Ronald Reagan freestyle. You know, I
yeah.
can't recall. Yeah, because you didn't read your lines. Read the lines. Stop trying to freestyle. Trying to improvise.
Even though now JFK got assassinated because he talked. I think he was trying to dismantle the bureaucracy of the CIA and FBI and the
Yeah,
federal
to a
bureaucracy.
thousand pieces until the wind scattered him to the wind. You know what happened to JFK is his father got his health got compromised. Like 6 months after JFK became president, his father was incapacitated. He had a stroke or something. So his father really was pulling the strings of the Kennedy brothers. And once he became incapacitated, he couldn't control them no more. And that's why they
Well,
got killed. They got off the rails because the people that helped them was the underworld helped the Kennedys get into power. You know.
well, you gotta understand. A lot of black people are the Kennedys, but the Kennedys weren't no friend neither. Really, then they was like,
No, they cut out the food stamp and welfare benefits of the black people down in Greenwood, Mississippi when they tried to register to vote. They cut them off, and Dick Gregory chartered a plane full of supplies and food for the people of Greenwood, which was the inspiration for Freedom Summer 1964. But
well,
no, the Democrats never been a friend of black people.
let me let's jump off the top of the page. We're gonna go down the line of those presidents right there. We'll go to Lyndon Baines Johnson. A lot of people
Okay.
think he's a friend. He won't no friend.
No, he was a master politician. Politicians, the only religion they respect is the religion of power. They the ultimate opportunists, and they don't take nothing personal. It's never personal with a politician. It's always
Um,
business. As
yeah,
usual.
we're gonna go to Nixon.
Yeah, Nixon,
Mm,
interesting.
yeah, then we got Ford, Jimmy Carter, who was part of the Trilateral Commission, by the way.
Yeah, he's a peanut farmer, but also nuclear submarine captain. But I lust in my heart. Okay, Jimmy. I went down to Plains, Georgia, heard Jimmy Carter do a Sunday school speech almost 5 years ago. And he claimed a Sunday school class. And this is when he was dealing with his so-called inoperable brain
At a
cancer that he
black
found a
church.
cure. He was a Sunday school teacher down in Plains, Georgia, where he's from. And he claimed that Jesus, they don't know what color Jesus was. I said, Jimmy, you are a politician because you know good damn well what the Bible say about the description of Jesus. Here you are, you've been teaching this for decades. Oh, we don't know what color he was. And then, Jimmy Carter's cousins were Berry Gordy, the founder of
Okay,
Motown. His folks are from Georgia too.
so then we're
So
gonna
they
go.
both cousins.
So then we had Ronald Reagan,
Okay.
who damn sure wasn't no friend, of course.
And he voted
Then,
for FDR 4 times, by the way. He was a big time Democrat before he became Republican.
okay, then we had George Bush, who was head of the CIA,
Yeah.
right?
Zapata oil.
Okay. Then we got Bill Clinton, who a lot of people used to think was the so-called first black president, which could be so far from the truth. Actually, to tell you the truth, probably the most well, actually all of them probably is anti-black, but damn, Bill Clinton is, he anti-black like hell. I mean, he might play that saxophone and sing you to sleep, but I mean, damn, I
I mean,
mean,
he put to death a retarded black man for killing a cop in Arkansas while he was campaigning. He put to death. He allowed this black man who had mental problems to be put to death because he killed
um,
the cop.
well, it's a lot of things with Clinton that went the crime bill that he signed, which was Joe Biden who actually
The
running for
architect,
president,
yeah, bus,
architect.
yeah,
But Bill Clinton also, what did he do 2 years after? What did he do? NAFTA, right?
yeah, and repealed was
Glass Steagall Act,
it's Glass-Steagall Act. That's right.
which gave the banks all the power.
And reform welfare, basically cripple people. He didn't reform it.
Well, a lot of people think that he helped a lot of black people find jobs when he did the welfare thing, but actually, to tell you the truth, Some got jobs, but a lot of people got screwed over by that.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
Women lost their children to foster care. As a matter of fact, Bill Clinton and them had set up a lot of foster cares of adoption with children getting tortured, raped, etc.
That's the
Um,
Democrat way, man. Boss Crump had that child adoption agency scandal back in the late 40s and early 50s. I think Georgia Tan, that was killing
child.
kids and stuff.
What else did Bill Clinton do? Child support. You go to jail if you didn't pay child support. Claimed he was trying to make you better fathers, but of course that was part of the scheme of the crime bill too. Um, so he was very nefarious. Then we had George Bush, who, I mean, he was just a war hawk, really. But if you look at George Bush, though, what's very interesting is that he actually had a thing where he actually put the faith-based initiative in the churches, which actually is why you got a lot of problems with your pastors now, because you tied the church to the government. Of course, you had the thing that happened in Katrina, which Cynthia McKinney talked about, which no other black politician would even dare step on. This Katrina thing was kind of a planned attack on them, because after that, New Orleans got gentrified heavily.
Yeah, they blew up the levees. They blew them up. Yeah.
Yeah. So they were planning on gentrifying New Orleans anyway. Matter of fact, in 2010, Arne Duncan, which was Barack Obama's Secretary of Education, said that New Orleans, Hurricane Katrina was the best thing because it allowed us to rebuild New Orleans and bring up the education system. But but you got rid of all the blacks though. And then we come to Barry Soetoro, aka Barack Obama, who, if you go back and study this man's history, is the father's thing. He might have your complexion, brother, but daggone, he is anti-black too, as far as policies.
Like he was a Trojan horse for them. Yeah.
You look at him tied to Clintons, and I was telling people, they say he didn't have any scandals. I said, what? Barack Obama's administration was doing everything under the sun. I mean, just even before the the presidency of Donald Trump. What the dude named Seth Rich? That dude got killed. Because Seth Rich was about to out that stuff. If you outed them, you got killed in that administration. I don't know talking. You got killed or mysteriously missing somewhere.
Vince Foster. You look at Vince Foster, the lawyer. You look at Ron Brown. It was a woman who was used to work in the Clintons' White House with Monica Lewinsky, and she was from Baltimore. This white girl. I think she was a lesbian. You can look this up. She got massacred while she was a manager at Starbucks in Georgetown. I think this happened in '97, and like it was weird because like people confessed to it, but they recanted their confession. The black guy. It was a perfect hit, man, because there was no fingerprints left at the scene. It was like her and some of her employees were killed in the back room. I believe you can look this up, but I think she had some information right before all that Lewinsky stuff hit about the Bill Clinton administration. That maybe she was killed to try to stop her from exposing stuff, becoming a whistleblower. But it's a case that people forget about. This happened back in '97, I believe. Georgetown Starbucks massacre.
And now we go into the presidency of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Which actually I tell people like, hey, look, you talking about Donald Trump. Hey, look, I just exposed the whole damn thing, blow the top off it, put it out in the open. I mean, this is what I look at him as. I said, look, you might don't like him, but hey, when he talk, you might need to listen to what he's saying, because a lot of the stuff that he's saying, you can go back and look it up, and you'll see, damn, I ain't know all that. He just exposing the truth in plain sight. But however, the population's so dumbed down, you don't even want to go look it up. You get mad because the media, but here go, what's the old saying, Brother Ron? The media can make the enemy your friend and the friend your enemy.
Yeah, that's Malcolm, man. Malcolm, that's one of the most important things he said. The media is the most powerful entity on the planet because it influences and controls the minds of the masses. And what people gotta understand with Donald Trump, they talking about, well, he ain't reading his intel every day. And they said the Taliban was getting money from Russia to hit up, American GIs. But wasn't you go to Fahrenheit 9/11, the documentary by Michael Moore, it shows you back in 1999 when the Taliban was a guest of honor to then Texas Governor George W. Bush. You got footage of the Taliban coming to Texas as guests of the state of Texas when George W. Bush was governor. So, these enemies thing, there's no such thing as permanent enemies in politics. You understand? Such
Yeah.
thing as permanent enemies in politics.
Now check this out. Now check this
Hmm.
out. You remember we were just talking about George Bush, right?
Yeah.
Link George Bush and Obama together. It's no secret that the reason Obama came behind Bush was because he's a cousin of Bush.
Yeah, Hillary is related to Donald Trump, and Jesse James related to John Rockefeller. They all related. Obama related to Brad Pitt too. So
Warren Buffett too.
yeah, they all relate. I mean, it's all it's a blood thing, man. It's a bloodline thing.
Yes, and
Hmm.
you look at it. So Barack Obama took, what did he say? I'm gonna vote the war in Iraq, but he didn't tell you you was still in war in Iraq, and you was in war in Somalia and all these other countries too while he was in office.
Oh yeah, and he never closed down Gitmo Bay. He made a campaign promise to close down Gitmo. He never did.
Now,
He
but
extended the war in Afghanistan, and Iraq. We stayed over there. So
but look though, if
mm,
you look at him and Bush, right?
mm-hmm.
Their family had all business tied together, so why wouldn't I keep the war going?
Yeah. I
I
mean, go
mean,
back to the daddy Poppy Bush, Poppy, Zapata oil, man.
what's the other guy named like the blowout in the golf rig where all them BP execs should have got indicted and he pardoned all them guys.
Oh yeah. Well, Obama ain't a friend. I mean, he let the banks go. They basically robbed the American people. Nobody listened to the American people when we told them to hold these people accountable. Then they bail out on the American people with the subprime mortgage scandal. People lost their homes and everything, especially in Memphis. Memphis was hit hard because we were a lot of black folks here in Memphis, and a lot of black folks were hit hard with that subprime mortgage thing. You got no advocates for the people in this country
Okay, explain that.
in Congress.
I know. Explain that subprime mortgage thing. Your explanation of it. What do you think?
I mean, people got loans, they shouldn't got no loan. People that got loans shouldn't got them. They weren't qualified to give them. But you look at the history of redlining and how they have treated black folks in this country. We never had a fair share or fair shake in anything.
Now with the subprime mortgage loans, they actually did like a reverse redlining by giving you high interest rates, but they didn't deny you getting the house this time, but they really suckered you into like a balloon payment and other things of that nature.
People that got stuff they shouldn't got. That's the whole point. People got things they were not qualified to get. And really because of historical discrimination in housing anyway. You look at the GI Bill. Black GIs didn't get all the things they're supposed to get in the GI Bill that the white GIs did get, even though they fought for this country. We're now realizing there were race riots fought during World War II overseas in England with black soldiers fighting against their own white counterparts. I got grandfathers both serving in the military. You hear stories of black GIs coming home, being found lynched and floating in waterways in Mississippi and other places. You hear about this thing happening. It's crazy. This Camp Van Dorn race massacre. That supposed to happen back in 1943 or 44 down in Camp Van Dorn, Mississippi. The people claim that over 1,000 black GIs were slaughtered by the military police and buried in mass graves and put on trains. Now it was interesting. They actually was uh, investigating this. The U.S. Army, the NACP, the Black Congressional Caucus. They were calling for investigations because it was a white dude that wrote a novel based on the Camp Van Dorn massacre. Y'all should look that up. And sad thing about it is September 11 happened. So I don't know if it was true or not, but I get emails and stuff from white people that said, well, my mama and stuff still traumatized by what happened to them black GIs back in 43 or 44 in Camp Van Dorn. And Camp Van Dorn, excuse me, still exists in Mississippi. So I always wanted to go down there. So I'm gonna do some because they happened. It was a big ado, and then all of a sudden September 11 happened. There's no more interest in the Camp Van Dorn massacre, and most of the people that worked there and it was there. I mean, they got video testimony. You got to really find it. It's hard to find, but they did news stories locally at news stations in Mississippi about this. They interviewed people that worked at the camp, black and white people, white civilians, black GIs, veterans. They said there was a lot of crazy stuff going on, including GIs getting killed by police or sheriffs and stuff like that during that
Well,
time period.
that shows you that it's so much stuff to uncover. You can't
Yeah,
uncover it in one day. You can't. You gotta always look and check your boxes, cross your T and dot your
yeah.
I. But I will say this: when you look at this thing, and I said, like you said, liberation come from us. It will
Hmm.
come from us, and it's got to come from us. However,
Right.
in all honesty, and I always try to say, we will, if we don't come together, lose mass numbers of people. We were gonna already lost quite a few.
We need to have a civil war, man, among black people. We need to lose a lot more.
Yeah.
I don't see. We're gonna have to lose. It's not that I want that. I just understand ain't no such thing as a bloodless revolution. It don't exist. There ain't
Well,
no such thing as a bloodless revolution. We already lost a lot of good people, so it is what it
well,
is.
I was talking to a guy a couple of weeks ago, and he told me that you haven't had a significant black leader killed in over 50 years.
It's like some Judge Joe Brown.
Could be. He might have been too, but he done, yeah. So yeah, but if that could tell you that, you know, the ones that have spoken up have been either you killed or
Well, we
ostracized.
have had black leaders. You know what? Abortion killed a lot of potential black leaders. We're
Yes,
being punished for the six. I don't think people understand we being punished. The way they poison our food and our water and our air. They are trying to stop the rise of the so-called Black Messiah. You
that's right.
know, Fred Hampton's senior mom. They were from Louisiana, but she used to babysit Emmett Till when he was a little kid. That's Fred Hampton's senior mom. Then Fred Hampton was getting spied upon by the government when he started. He was 14 or 15 years old because the way he was organizing the NAACP Youth Council in Maywood, Illinois. He grew it to like several hundred members. This is a teenager doing that, trying to march for integration, whatnot. So he was already known to the government by the time he was 14. Look at Dr. King. His family was spied upon for 3 generations before he was born, starting with his maternal grandfather, because the King family were pretty big in Atlanta politics. King
Well,
was supposed to marry Maynard Jackson's, the first black mayor of Atlanta's aunt, who was an opera singer, and American Coretta, who also was an opera singer. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to marry a white German cafeteria worker at his seminary.
but let me say something. So you watched this interview of that I sent you of the woman named Angela Stanton King.
Yeah, I saw it before. I'm familiar with it, but I think she's interesting.
Yeah, she's been coming on a lot of other stuff too. And I say
Hmm.
this is a smart woman. She's running for John Lewis' seat. But I will say this to you, brother.
I hope she wins.
Well, yes. In this council culture environment, she probably won't win, but we'll see. Because I'm
Hmm.
sitting there saying to myself, John Lewis is 80 years old, still talking about he got beat by King back in the 60s.
Yeah,
And I'm like to myself, I hate to say it to people, but what have you done for me lately?
yeah.
Don't
No,
tell
that's
me you
honest.
march with King.
Hmm.
Don't tell me you march with King because you might have marched with King, but for man to say he marched with King, you surely have not been doing those works. And let's be real about Martin Luther King. I always say it's two Martin Luther Kings. Can I tell you why?
Yeah.
You got one that was for integration, but before he died, you remember Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, and other people. They made me aspects. He said, remember Elijah Muhammad, he said, I've integrated my people into a burning house. So even
Mm.
Martin Luther King knew I made a mistake. See, I like the second king, Kobe had number 8 and then he wore number 24.
Yeah.
I like the king that said, I have integrated my people into a burning house. That's
Hmm.
the thing I like listening to better, not the one that said I want to be around white folks or let's
Hmm.
all get along together. That does not work. I mean, if you want to see where, I give you an example, brother, like you told me last time we talked. Byron Allen, you can talk black all day long, but you married to a white woman, right?
I mean, and not even that. He's never been consistently out front about black issues unless it concerns his own business interests.
Yeah.
That's my problem with him because Sidney Poitier, not Sidney Poitier, but Harry Belafonte, his second wife was white, his first wife was black. But look what he done for the movement. He helped get Dr. King out of jail when they were trying to assassinate him during 1960 presidential election season, which got Kennedy the black vote. Dr. King was a Republican. He helped raise money for the movement for the SCLC. He helped organize Dr. King's funeral, picked out his suit with Coretta. You have people like that. Then you have people like Byron Allen that you don't really know nothing about, but he comes out because his pockets are infected. It's not because Black America's been catching hell for God knows how long, is because he got a personal vested interest that's affected, not because black folks catching hell. So no, we don't need no leadership. Dr. King, most of black folks didn't listen to Dr. King. That's
Yeah,
all of
that's a
Black
myth.
America didn't care for that. Like all of Black Americans don't care for Malcolm X still. You don't need that type of leadership. You need we have an understanding. You look at Jewish people. I ain't gonna never forget when I went on a tour of Brooklyn, New York, back in December 2013. I was in Williamsburg on this tour bus, and we was in the Hasidic Jews neighborhood or community. And on every corner they had a school with a school bus, and they control their education, they control their economics. You never hear about no Hasidic Jew being attacked by the police. You don't hear about no police brutality of the Jewish community up in New York because they control their police, they control their economics, they control their education. They have a community, so they set policy in said community. Black folks, we have neighborhoods and sets and stuff. We don't have no communities. Robert Church had a community that was destroyed by white power interests in Memphis. Memphis would be totally different right now if the church family was allowed to invest in Black Memphis via businessship. Via business and home ownership. You understand? I
Well,
don't think a lot of us understand history. That's the problem. We're ahistorical. We don't understand how history is really made. Oh, it's the consequences of history. Because the past is never past.
well, you ever heard the old saying, whoever the conqueror get to write the history?
Yeah, but these people ain't that they ain't that special.
They not.
Um, we had people that won. We fought and won wars and
Yeah.
battles. We forgot that we did that though, and we taught them how to do it. And this is what happens when the parent allows the children to get unruly for several hundred years.
Well, I know.
This is what happens.
I want to talk about one subject, and you will probably understand this. Now, you saw
Mm-hmm.
in Minnesota
Okay.
where they talk about defunding police, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then they had the security protecting three city council members for almost $56,000 already
Right.
out of taxpayer money to protect them. But you're trying to vote on defund police, so it's protection for you, but not for me, right?
Right.
How
Right.
right?
Right.
Okay. Now go back and check this out, brother. These were, and I think two of them, if I'm not even all three of them, were two of the city council members were trans. They were talking about,
Yeah.
oh, black trans have been affected by trans
Mm-hmm.
violence. 16,
Mm-hmm.
16 transgenders they say got killed this year. I mean,
Okay.
I'm like, I'd like to know how many of these people that did this were as what they called, how can we put the words, brother? Um, they could have been in a bad situation. They didn't disclose who they were.
Yeah.
So
Temporary insanity. Right.
yeah,
Oh my God, I lost my virginity to this, it or
yeah.
she or her, whatever.
So
It's
because
very
I
disingenuous. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because I know for a fact, brother, even though they out here, I ain't just gonna jack you up to hurt you just because I just gonna just ignore you and stay away from you for the most part. But you know, we're not just you're not getting me like Chance the Rapper, right?
Yeah, I don't care for his music. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
who he is.
he comes out the other day and says black men are the
Yeah,
oppressors.
I wish we were the white man of. I wish that was true. Cause we wouldn't be putting up with all this crap now. I wish that was true. We would have shut all this mess down. There would be no Black Lives Matter or Black Lesbian Matters if that's true.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Well, but I'm saying
It's
they got him
insanity.
out there pushing the agenda too.
I don't
But
I don't go to celebrities for political advice or for a lot. I don't care. You just entertain me. Shut up. Shut up and sing. Shut up and dribble. I don't want to hear that drivel come out your mouth. You're not important enough. You don't study. You don't do enough. You're too beholden. You're a court jester. Be a court jester. You ain't
well,
no
look,
leader. You ain't no revolutionary. You're a court jester.
hey brother,
Entertain me.
hey
Give me
brother,
bread and circuses. Leave me alone. I don't need you for no political advice.
brother, I want
Uh-huh.
to say something to you. If somebody hear that shut up and dribble, they gonna say, "Oh man, you taking some of Laura Ingraham punchline."
Yeah, but you telling the truth though.
You know what? Yeah, I've talked to some people about that, and some people have agreed that she telling the truth.
I mean, LeBron ain't no Muhammad Ali or Jim Brown or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I don't look at him. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. Don't get me wrong. But these cats are so tied into corporations. They NBA told LeBron to shut up about China. Then he was talking all this stuff about China. He shut up. Then he shut
Yeah,
up and dribbled. Then he
yeah.
he didn't. He ain't say no more. Billions of dollars at stake. See, Dr. King was no threat until he said, we're gonna have to get out the war in Vietnam. We're gonna have to redistribute the wealth. That's when they killed Dr. King. Not because he wanted to sit in some white-owned restaurant and eat a hamburger that was spit on by white people. No, it was when he said we gotta pull out of Vietnam and we gotta redistribute the wealth. When you messing with their money, that's when you become a threat.
Well, I remember when the Laura Ingraham situation happened, and
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, yeah, it was had a racist trope to it, but in the
She's a
honesty,
white woman. Yeah, of
but
course it is.
but at the end of the day, you couldn't say that what she said wasn't true
Yeah, I don't
because
care. I don't
it
Chance the
really
Rapper. I don't even listen to his music, man. He
it,
ain't Tupac. Tupac to me it was the best, and they crap on Tupac today. I think it's weird. Tupac was the only one that spoke out against Trump during his lifetime. Everybody else was trying to get Trump on a album, doing the
well.
skits and stuff.
Let me say something
You
else
know.
about. Let me say something else about that, brother.
Uh-huh.
That's another thing that people don't understand. Like I tell people, I really would like Donald Trump to come out and show pictures of all when he was with all these guys, Snoop, etc. But then I look at
Mm-hmm.
Snoop Dogg. I used to have a lot of respect for you. I still, but Gail King backs you down. Then I found out your son is transgender modeling. So
Snoop to
kind
me
of
is like
like,
an agent. I don't know what to say. It's like the Puffy and them guys. A lot of people around them end up dead or in jail for some reason. I don't know what that's about.
but 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 listen. But I will say this to you: when you
Mm-hmm.
look at this whole thing with Snoop and these guys, acting like this anti-Trump brigade. Look at the anti-Trump brigade, and look at most of the time it's either somebody backing the LGBT or illegal immigration. There ain't no ordinary black men like me or you that's actually sitting there thinking. A lot of thoughtful black people, or something, people that got their eyes open, not saying that a lot of us got out because a lot of people are waking up, but
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to wake up the masses all at one time because
Well,
people.
the thing about it is, it never been like that for us, except maybe one time, maybe 100 years ago, when we had Marcus Mosiah Garvey. He made a lot of powerful black boule enemies. You know what I'm saying? But he had millions of black people following him throughout the diaspora. This brother never went to Africa, but he telling people to go back to Africa. You know, so I think there's interest we don't study, and then they've hired the first black FBI agent to take out Marcus Garvey, Agent 800. Y'all can Google that up. That's name guy named James Wormley Jones, World War I decorated World War I veteran, and also a high-ranking police officer in the D.C. Police Department. He was hired by the FBI, became the first FBI black agent, and his job was to neutralize Marcus Garvey.
Well, look at
James
this.
Wormley Jones.
But they even use. I mean, W. Du Bois was used as a weapon against Marcus.
All of them. A. Philip Randolph gave Marcus Garvey his first speaking engagement in America, and they used him. They used the black boule to neutralize Marcus Garvey. Plain and simple.
Well, let me say something. The black boule that at that time, I think the black boule in today's day and time is 10 times more dangerous.
The coon boule.
Yeah. Well, but I'm glad you said something about LeBron and Dwayne Wade and these guys. These we can't really look up to these guys for leadership
No.
and
Think about Charlize Theron. She's South African, whatever. Look what she did to her so-called son. That's despicable. That's sick. And
yeah.
anybody said that's normal, you sick too. I don't care. I never made a lot of money in this system. Yet the IRS want to audit me for nothing. But you sick if you agree that that's okay what she did to that boy.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something, brother.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even look when I saw the picture.
Right.
Anderson King tweeted it on Twitter, and I
Mm-hmm.
looked at the picture and I said, "Wow,
That's crazy,
that's
man.
a boy." And I'm like, "You are adopting black boys and dressing them up
That's
like girls?"
child abuse, man. How's that normal? You remember that picture where that black boy hugged that cop, and then you found he was adopted by that lesbian couple that drove off that cliff. They did a
Wow.
Thelma and Louise thing a couple years ago. You know that famous picture of that black kid hugging that cop, crying. Then found out that his parents were lesbians, white lesbians. They were abusing those kids, and they drove them kids off a cliff in California a couple years ago.
Let me give you another truth in plain sight, brother. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they Anderson King was on another interview, and she showed the when the young brother that was signed, Barack Obama was signing the bill for the Affordable Care Act, or what the people
Mm-hmm.
would call
Yeah.
Obamacare. Right? The guy is a grown grand man now, but he dressed up as a woman, transgender.
They probably, he probably eating them hot dogs at the White House.
But it goes to show you though, truth in plain sight. And she pointed it out, and I didn't even know this. The Affordable Care Act also paid for gender reassignment surgery. It was in the bill. Isn't
Like,
that?
oh, Chelsea Manning. What's a dude named Chelsea Manning now? The whistleblower from the army.
Yeah, but it just goes to show you that, like you said with Theron, she's South African, but Sean Penn's doing it. We got to be real careful when white folks are adopting black children. We really
You
need to
have no
stop.
white friends, black people. You have no white friends. And I went to predominantly white institutions for a lot of my life. You have no white friends.
Well,
Sorry. The only white friend you had was John Brown. And look what happened to him.
well, you see, but that's what I always say. But we don't know that because some fact of how we live or we think. Because giving you a Black Lives Matter street or giving you a couple of names, like
Oh man.
like
You know what? I want to laugh, but I really want to cry. I mean, I would want to cry every day, but I just laugh, man. King BJ, I just laugh. But go ahead. Oh my god, I want to cry really. Honestly, but I'm gonna keep on laughing.
but but
Yeah.
I mean it's not a laughing matter, but I mean you just have to
Is it a
sit.
joyful laughter? No, I'm not joyfully laughing. It keeps me from crying. But go
Well,
ahead.
like you just said, I bred in circuses, right?
Yeah, yeah, yep.
What's the circus? The basketball game, the singing, the dances.
Anything that distract you from, like you saying, focus on what really matters. Like seeing things, being able to discern, seeing what is said that wasn't said. You know what I'm saying? Like you talked about, they give us code, they do all this type of language and symbolism stuff. But if you don't study, you don't understand what you're looking at. Every communication is warfare. You talk about info wars. Everything with white people, even sex, everything. Will you like Popeye's chicken sandwiches or Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches? Everything's political. Everything is warfare.
Let me bring up something to you, brother. I was
Mm-hmm.
This is a recent conversation that I had with a young brother on the phone.
Okay.
I won't refer to him, but we were talking about a friend of mine asked him what do you like Barack Obama? Asked him, my nephew,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
and he says the guy said, yeah, I like him. So he asked him, what did he do? And he said he passed same sex marriage. He said, and I'm saying that's not a good thing. He said they
Mm-hmm.
talking about. He said I told him the guys and why it's not good. I said because they talking about depopulating the planet. And I
Right.
said no, depopulate the planet of black people actually. And
Mm-hmm.
he was saying, but they got the right to love etc or something. But I'm saying this is bigger than some people, two people that want to love each other. This is a depopulation New World Order tactic. If you go look at Henry Kissinger's 1974 memo, this was already planned over 50 years ago to do this stuff. Yeah, so this is already
Well,
been planned.
no, here's the thing. 2 years ago, I went down. I was leaving Atlanta. I was gonna go to Montgomery, but someone told me, "Ron, go to the Georgia Guidestones." I don't know if you're familiar with the Georgia Guidestones.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically like a Stonehenge in Georgia, like it's 90 miles, I guess, north of Atlanta, in the middle of a field in a rural part of Georgia. They got this Stonehenge looking thing that was put there back in 1980 by a secret group. It talks about we want to get the world's population down to 500 million people. They got their mission statement in several different world languages. And basically, they give you like a 10 commandments of how you want to live in a world with just 500 million people. So they put it out in plain sight. It's been out there since 1980. I went there myself. It was interesting. The day I went there, it was a woman from England. I call myself Boule Run. I call her Illuminati Nikki. She's from England, right? She's driving cross country from San Francisco to New York City, trying to take in all the major historic landmarks and sites and stuff like that. So I just so happened to be there the same day she did. She took pictures of me playing my horn. Maybe I opened up some type of weird portal with demons and stuff. I don't know. It was a weird. It wasn't spooky to me. It was just interesting to have this big thing in the middle of nowhere, basically. talking about population, depopulation, and New World Order. So they had that out since 1980. And right across the street from the Georgia Guidestone is a security camera that works 24/7 because of vandalism. But you know, they hide it in plain sight, man.
Let me say some of that New World Order thing. But
Mm-hmm.
when you read that New World Order thing, a lot of people say you're talking conspiracy, right? Yeah, right. Of course we do, right?
You know, conspiracies are real. This system is a conspiracy. You know, the Revolutionary War was a conspiracy. Everything conspiracy. It's
Well,
real.
New World Order talks about the media would start going on sensationalism
Well,
and false
mm-hmm.
flag stories.
Mm-hmm. That's
Right.
happening.
That's what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, false flags to end up going to war, justifying going to war.
They've been doing it for a while.
Um, blood sacrifices.
Been doing that for a while.
Um, homosexuality was in New World Order. A lot of
Yeah,
things.
been going on for a while.
But
The father wearing stockings and wigs and stuff and makeup. So.
but Henry Kissinger talked about this. It talked
Uh-huh.
about this. And I'm sitting there saying, you know, I'm disappointed. And I'm gonna say this, brother. I'm disappointed more so. Not all the boomers, 'cause I got some great guys around me and people around.
Yeah.
And I got people even in their 60s and stuff that know some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know this information. And I'm sitting there sometimes saying, I'm only 32 years old. You've been living way longer than me. You should be running circles around me with information, but it seems to be kind of the other way around in some ways.
That's why they live so long, because they don't know they're not a threat. Yeah,
You
they
said
make
what?
movies about the man who knew too much. You know what happened to the man who knew too much, and like, all these movies and books. And
But
it's a burden to have the knowledge you have, man. It's a lonely existence. Like even the women don't understand, and
that's right.
they bind into everything. They the ones giving up their bodies and babies, and not realizing that they destroying and undermining the family.
Well, if you look at it, and I used to have women. Some women have actually come around to me kind of lately on some
That's
things.
good. That's good. We need to have you reproducing, man. You need to make copies of yourself. Make an army, make a King BJ army, man.
But some of them have come around, and some of them they used to tell me, man, you're way outside the mainstream. These are conspiracy theories, etc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But I give you credit for that. What's that wonderful woman Valerie. That's it, Valerie.
Yeah, Val Denise Jones. Shout out to her. Yeah, she's good people.
Yeah, she's great. She told me, she asked me, how do you do it? I said, look, I just have to get the information out the best I can.
That's right.
Somebody
You're doing
listen.
a good job, man. You're doing a good job.
So if you got one person that believe you believe you one day you're doing good. You get 5, you almost feel like you're in heaven, and you can get 5 people to believe you in a week. But people will say, well, how do you know that I read it? Oh, but they fact check this information. Well, you got to understand, fact checkers on the internet are controlled by Gates and the Zuckerbergs and all that.
Right.
Speaking of Zuckerberg, did you see this thing where they're gonna remove? They told him, if you don't remove the ads, they removed the ads from Facebook this month because he won't take down what they call hate speech, which is really not hate speech. It's really called suppression of free speech. They need to stop using the word hate speech, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, yes, you got to get the information out. You can try it. You always can get into a stumble block, a hurdle. Somebody not gonna believe you. Unfortunately, you get more opposition from black folks, but you still got to keep pushing out. You just take the attacks every day. You keep on getting, sometimes you just want to go back in your room and just sit there and say, man, I can't believe I'm giving people all this good information, not to be heard or not to be listened. But if I wasn't putting out information and I wasn't doing it, I couldn't have been on this interview with you today. So
everything happens where it happen. It's a season for everything. Just don't give up, man. The only way you can fail anything if you stop trying. The only way you can fail is if you quit. That's the only way you can fail.
Well, the crazy part about it is a lot of people that's not even failing. They don't even know. They think they're succeeding, but slowly they dying.
Well, it's like in the military, you don't have to be that smart to be a general. You just got to follow directions, not not question, directions given to you. Just shut up and just do your job. You could be a general.
Well, and I'm gonna ask you one other question, brother, and I'll let you go.
Mm-hmm.
We've been on here for a while, but sometimes
Go by. It's fun though. It's like it's 20 minutes. It was like
it's,
90 minutes, like 20 minutes.
it's all good though because like I was told by some friends to have another interview with you because they said it was like a magical connection when we linked up last time.
Oh man, we on the same journey, man. We in the same tribe. I think I
So
enjoy these conversations. It's good not to be alone. It's a lonely existence doing this. This is not. This is a passion, man. It just can't be a job. It was a job I would have quit a while ago. Getting paid well. The benefits ain't worth it, you know.
yeah,
But it's a love of the people and a love of information and
but
of liberation that we do this work, man. This
but,
is a
but
calling that we're doing.
now about this thing, you saw this thing in Missouri the other day, right? With the couple
Misery,
with
the state of misery. I call it the state of misery. I'm very well acquainted with misery. I went to
with
college there, a predominantly white institution named Washington University in St. Louis, the Harvard of the Midwest. It gave me a lot of trauma going to that school. Well, that's another story. Go ahead.
how far is that from Memphis?
Yeah, like back about less than 5 hours. Memphis
Okay,
in the middle of the country. Everything is about maybe 3 to 10 hours away where you want to be.
okay. Well, let me put it this way to you.
Hmm.
When you looked at this thing, with the couple that came out with the
Yeah,
guns,
the lawyers. Yeah.
what did you think about that?
Well, that's misery. That's St. Louis, man. St. Louis is really a sundown town. The St. Louis Blues is written by W.C. Handy. I hate to see when that sun go down. That's a sundown town. Misery is a Confederacy. You know what I'm saying? Contrail, Raiders, Jesse James people, Civil War, guerrilla warfare. Dred Scott is buried right outside of St. Louis near Ferguson. Dred Scott was told by Supreme Court Justice Chief Roger Taney that the black man has no rights, that the white man is bound to respect you or your descendants have no rights. So we are the descendants of Dred Scott. Our rights never been respected by this place. So St. Louis has always been like that. St. Louis has always been violent towards black people. Think about Joseph C. Baker survived the St. Louis riots in the early 1900s. It killed a lot of black people. Then you got coming up this weekend right now is the anniversary of the East St. Louis massacre, race massacre, where they killed a whole bunch of black folks over across the river in East St. Louis, Illinois. It killed basically easily 1,000 black people because a lot of black folks were forced to stay in their homes while they were burning. They raped, and it was started by what? Police misconduct. That whole thing was started by police misconduct. And also the crackers were mad because the black folks were recruited from down south to take those factory jobs. See, the white folks were in unions and they were laid off, whatever. They was fighting for better wages. People don't understand that unions were started to keep black folks from being employed.
That's
The
right.
most skilled workforce after the Civil War were black people. And yet white folks were non-skilled. So they started unions to keep black folks from working. So what they did, the factories recruited black folks from down south to come up to East St. Louis to work in the factories to break the line, whatever, to cross the line. Then they were killed. A lot of these black folks came from where? Mississippi. So a lot
Well,
of people killed in the East St. Louis massacre came from Mississippi.
well, I got one thing to say to you, brother. Like we were talking about that thing the other day about the Klan, right?
Yeah.
In Richmond, they had they said the KKK was impersonating police officers, right?
Yeah.
But like you said, they don't have to impersonate
They are
because
police. They've been police. I would tell you a story. Hey, look. I would tell you something. It was this over the weekend, this well-known newscaster in Memphis. He started Facebooking and messaging me. I ain't heard this man from years. He's a white guy. He got folks from Mississippi and Louisiana. And he was talking about how they took down the Mississippi flag. And he was kind of conflicted about it. And he told me that his folks were from Philadelphia, Mississippi, where the 3 civil rights workers were killed. He told me that his cousin was the sheriff before the sheriff that took over when the 3 civil rights workers were killed. Swerner Chain and Goodman were kidnapped by the police, and they was led to their deaths by the police and the Klan. A lot of policemen in Philadelphia, Mississippi were compromised by the Klan. They were Klansmen or Klan supporters. So he told me his cousin was a sheriff before Lawrence Rainey took over. And I said, your cousin probably was Klan if he was a sheriff of Neshoba County. Easily Klan. And I said, you don't want to shake that family tree too hard. You might find like a hood fall out there, mother. So my thing is, police always been the Klan. You look at what Dr. King was killed. The person that controlled the police and fire department in Memphis was a guy named Frank Holloman. He was from Mississippi, but he served under Jacob Hoover for 25 years in the FBI.
Wow. And
Yeah.
Jacob Hoover, as we found out, really was a black man.
Yeah, matter of fact, it's a sister. If you can find it online on YouTube or whatever, it was a black woman that did a documentary and wrote a book about Jacob Hoover being their relative. So you had some Hoovers from Macomb, Mississippi. That's where Brandy the singer from, Macomb, Mississippi. You had some black Hoovers down there. She said in her book that allegedly Jacob Hoover threatened the black part of his family. He said, if y'all ever came out and told people who I really am, I'll kill all y'all.
That's a wild story. But you know, when I'm looking at this thing and I'm seeing it, if you the thing with the police thing, you know, I look at it, you're trying to reform people, but you cannot reform the mind of white people. You just cannot do that. I mean, you know,
That's who they are.
try. You cannot do that. I mean, so it's an old saying: separation is better than war. But if you can't have separation, you just go ahead and have the war. That's how I look at it.
Well, we in a war right now. We just don't know it.
Yeah, well, that's the bigger problem. I mean,
Yeah, we've been fighting the war. They've been picking us off one by one, where they hang us in trees, or police brutality, or the medicine they give us is not really medicine, or the food we eat is really destroying our bodies. How they poison the air. We've been at war, but a lot of us don't know that.
well, I'm gonna make sure I seen this interview of Candace Owens and Mark Lamont Hill if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, Candace Owens interesting. My thing is we too involved in putting people on pedestals. It ain't about them. Just research the information
Yeah.
and each one teach one. Deal with the folks you can deal with. It's like I had interviewed Sam Greenlee, the guy who wrote The Spook Who Sat by the Door, which led to that amazing movie. He told me, Ron, you deal with the folks you could deal with. Don't worry about the folks that ain't doing nothing or you can't work with or they won't listen to what you got to say. Get with the folks that's doing stuff in your community and do that. I don't really care about what these folks got to say about anything. I'll be honest with you. I don't. Well,
Yeah.
what do you think about what so and so news? I don't listen to nobody. I just do research. I keep to myself and I meditate and I talk to the folks I talk to. And I decide to share information. I share it.
I wasn't really paying attention to it, but I just sat with my friend one night and looked at this information.
Mm-hmm.
She was with this guy named Mark Lamont Hill. You heard of Mark Lamont Hill?
I know who he is. I know very well. I don't care for him either. I mean, I love black people, but in terms of what he got to say about anything, like how he talked about Dr. Frances Quest Wilson, how she died, her body wasn't even cold, the disrespect he showed that sister's legacy, and the fact that he kowtowing to Zionists, I don't, what he got to say really don't have merit in this discussion for liberation.
Well, exactly. And I looked at more so what she was saying, and like I said, a lot of some people got into Candace Owens. Like sometimes she right on some things, but then she just come out the side of her neck too wrong. But my thing more so was this guy who's supposed to be a Temple professor is actually arguing with her, or debating her on that a man can have a baby, and she was saying, you know, he was saying if I want to change my name, I can be a woman, and you wouldn't call me a she. She's like, no, I wouldn't change the pronoun. And I tweeted him on Twitter, and I said, you are a professor, brother. You got to stop pushing this poison. Of course, he didn't respond, but at the same time,
Yeah, but the thing about it is, why should we trust him because he's a professor? Most lies are kept in libraries.
That's right.
In academia, and the thing about academics, man, is that they are limited because they specialize in one field. They not what we learn as natural human beings. We learn from everything. We learn through our experiences. But in academia, they tell you can't learn like that. You gotta be focused on one subject matter. And his thing is all about staying within those ivory towers, that tenureship. When you're doing the work we're doing, we don't have no type of safety net. We don't have no type of pension or tenure or nothing like that. We're doing it for the love of the people, to serve the people, to inform the people the best way we can, what we have at our disposal. Mark Lamont Hill is not a leader like that. I mean, the greatest scholar we produce, to me, is Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois. And like he figured out at the end of his life when he was over in China for his birthday, I want to say it's back in the late 50s, he said, I did all these things. He's the father of American sociology. I mean, the man was the first black person to get a PhD from Harvard. brilliant man. But he, at the end of his life, almost a century of living, he said, "My country just look at me as just being a nigga." This a
That's
man
right.
in his 90s said that, brilliant as he was.
Well, let me say something to you, brother Ron. Like I said, I'm glad to be graced with your presence again. You're an excellent thinker and a you know great brother.
No, likewise, it's a mirror reflection, man. You hang around people that reflect you.
Well, I want to just say
Make sure you back this up. Let them still put it in your cloud, man, because you doing important work, man. This stuff that people be looking at 100 years from now, trying to figure
well
out what the hell they were thinking about when they talking about, when we talking about the Skittles agenda, as Judge Brown was saying. What were all the people that was actually thinking about, hey, this is not the good look.
well I want to say just keep up the good work in Memphis. Hopefully, like I said, I gotta come down there. You come to Richmond or whatever.
Oh yeah, I've been to Richmond before. Yeah, I got the biggest monument of Confederacy is Jefferson Davis burial place in Hollywood Cemetery or something.
Yeah, well come on
I
back.
properly saluted him when I came down there in 2016. Then I paid my respects to Gabriel Prosser. They turned his burial site into a dang parking lot, and y'all had to reclaim it.
Well,
That's a real hero, Gabriel Prosser.
Come on back this way, brother. And I guess when you come to town, you gotta come hang out with me or something like that.
Oh, yeah, it could be interesting. I like Richmond. It's a great place to visit. I ain't like Dr. Short. I could stop and they had the Sala conference down there back in 2016 of October. That's the association that College U. Wilson founded, the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. So we had our national convention down there. It was right near the burial place of Gabriel Prosser and all that stuff. 12 Years a Slave, actual historic site. So it was amazing to go down there to pay my respects to the ancestors. You could feel the presence and the power of our people. Our ancestors are still alive. They lived through us, man.
Well, look, you're in, like I said, you've been a joy doing this again. We'll get back together. I come
We
back.
do another one, man.
Hey, look,
Go back.
I got to come back on We All Be TV.
Oh, definitely, yeah, it's gonna be fun. Yeah, people enjoy. I enjoyed us, man. I mean, it's like when you do stuff, you authentic about what you're doing. It resonates on a different level with people. Like I know you're very sincere about trying to help our people, man. That's why hey, no problem.
Give out the audience your information because these people got to come to you and donate to We All Be TV.
All right. Well, why you still care? Because like you said, free speech ain't free, bro. They are attacking, man. You go look me on We All Be TV, one word on YouTube. We All Be TV. You can follow me Instagram at R2C2H2, like I got listed as my title. Also on Twitter at We All Be, one word, and Cash App R2C2H2. So I'm very accessible. Like King BJ can attest to that. And that's it. And I want to let everybody know we love you madly. Y'all keep on producing and pushing.
All right, brother. You have a good night. Keep on pushing.
Yes, sir. One love. You too, man.
You too, brother.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.